Hi everyone, welcome to Business in Canada Do It Right and me, Eugene Jakubov. Today a slightly different presentation in the format of frequently asked questions. Recently I've compiled multiple questions that you, our viewers on YouTube channel, or my clients at CPES ask about different aspects of incorporating in Canada that I see create a lot of confusion, sometimes misunderstanding. And so I've decided to create a couple of these videos that will clarify these topics, provide you a little bit more clarity and understanding of how to start a business, how to operate it, and what would be the rules that apply to it in Canada. So the first question that I see a lot is whether a federal corporation is better than a provincial one. And the answer to it would depend on the circumstances of your business, whether you incorporate as a Canadian incorporator or non-resident incorporator. And there's a separate video that I prepared a couple of weeks ago with a detailed overview of the comparison of federal corporation versus provincial corporation, with all these topics being covered. For today's purpose, I will just mention that there are multiple aspects of business operations in which there's absolutely no difference between what the companies can do, such as where they can operate. Both provincial and federal corporations can operate anywhere in Canada. There's no limitation geographically. Any type of corporations can do whatever you decide to do within the boundaries, of course, of criminal law. And also, every corporation that starts operating in the province other than the province of its registration must register extra-provincially. I'll speak in detail about it in a moment in today's presentation. So here's the link for the video. I also will put a link in the description below. You can see a lot more detailed description there. The next question is, what is the minimum capital investment? I see a lot of this question being asked by non-Canadian residents. And in Canada, there are no limitations. So you can incorporate a Canadian corporation, no matter which jurisdiction, with as little as $1 or as many as you wish. And all will boil down to your tax planning. And essentially the question would be whether you plan to sell the shares of your newly established corporation and at which point. So if the goal is to incorporate, invest, develop the business, sell it as fast as possible, then the initial capital investment might be a good idea, because the difference between your initial investment and the sales price would be smaller, and the capital gain will be lower, and the tax that you will be subject to will be lower. But that is a topic for a completely different, more detailed discussion and explanation. Can I incorporate alone? I see a lot of this question as well, and the answer is yes. In Canada, there's no requirement for multiple people to be present in order to incorporate. One person can incorporate the corporation. The same person can also operate, manage, and direct that corporation. There's no need for additional partners. On the other side, there's also no limitation on the number of additional partners. The corporation can have as many shareholders, directors as you decide. It's just as soon as you get to 20 and then to 50 shareholders, you will be subject to a little bit more complex reporting requirement, and the issuance of shares will become a little bit more regulated. Other than that, no difference. In small, medium businesses with a number of partners, absolutely no difference. So no limitation whatsoever. Do I need to give shares to directors in my corporation? I see a lot of these questions being asked, especially in those jurisdictions where you have to appoint 25% of directors, Canadian citizens or permanent residents. And the answer is no. So in Canada, there's no correlation and no mandatory requirement that directors to be shareholders or shareholders to be directors, or vice versa. So one person could be everything, as I already said, or you can appoint a director without providing them with the shares. Boils down to what you decide is better for your business or to your relationships with the directors and partners. Registered address, some basic rules. So every corporation must have a registered address in Canada in the province where the corporation is registered. So let's say if you register in Ontario, you must have a registered address located in Ontario. It could be any type of property, residential or commercial. I know some other jurisdictions require only commercial properties. In Canada, no such limitation. Next question is, do I need to register in each province where I operate? As I already said, here we repeat. The answer is you need to register where you have a permanent presence. Now, since there's no proper definition in different jurisdictions of what permanent presence means, usually I would say either you have an office with employees. So let's say you've incorporated in Ontario. Now you want to open an office in Alberta, put your employee or employees there. You will need to register extra provincially there. When you have permanent physical presence, such as warehouse, as I said, office, distribution center, also will require extra provincial registration. And if you have permanently operating agents, so subcontractors, employees, even without a physical office, you will need to register extra provincially. On the other side, if all that you do is just ship your products that you sell online as e-commerce on your personal website, I believe that you do not need to register extra provincially, especially if it's occasional shipping. Now, online services also, in my opinion, will not require that extra provincial registration. What I always suggest my clients, in order to avoid complication in your operations, in your reporting, your tax calculations, because everything will be based on the provincial level, is just if you operate online, whether service or product supply, defining your terms of use or terms and conditions or your agreement of supply that your product or service are being supplied in the province where you're located. This way, you can justify that you do not have permanent presence anywhere else, and you don't need to do the extra provincial registration. What is an annual cost of maintenance? Of course, this is not a question with one answer, but usually the annual maintenance is very simple in Canada. First, you will need to file a corporate return, which is essentially an update of the corporate register that your business keeps on operating. It's simple, you can do it yourself. In situations of working with partners, multiple shareholders, I will suggest to use a consultant to prepare you annual resolutions of the board of directors, annual resolution of the shareholders. Some consultants will charge fee, usually from $300 to $500. We at CBS charge $350 per annual return, and we provide the resolutions and also do the return with the corporate register. Second, and more complex, is the tax reporting, and tax reporting will include the corporate income tax. And also, if you charge HST or you have employees, so you will need to do those reporting as well. And that can become more expensive. And of course, the more complex the reporting is, the higher will be the cost. Do you need a corporate bank account? And the answer is that essentially there's no mandatory requirement for the corporate bank account to be open. So once you've incorporated, you can start operating your company without a bank account. If, let's say, you're a non-Canadian incorporator, you don't have time to come to Canada to open a bank account, you can use your foreign bank account to pay your bills, to pay your expenses, even to your employees. But of course, it will be needed for the future to support your growth, especially if you want to pay your taxes online. Multiple operations on an administrative level will require a bank account. So while mandatory it is not required, usually it is a good idea to have one. And keep in mind that there is no special requirement for the type of bank account. Usually you'll go to a bank, you'll ask a regular business account, and that will work for most of the situations, unless you're talking about larger corporation with multiple international payments and so on and so forth. Can a corporation operate different business? As I already said, yes. In the Business Corporations Act, in almost every jurisdiction in Canada, there's no limitation whatsoever on what a company can do. But in the articles of incorporation, when you incorporate, you can provide the provisions for the limitation that will limit the corporation to certain types of operations. I always suggest not to do it, but some people can do. Or if you buy a corporation, make sure that the articles do not limit you from doing whatever you want to do beyond the original business operations of a corporation. Can I operate under a different name or names? And the answer is yes, but every name must be registered. So there's a legislation would be in every province where you are registered that would require you to register a business name under which you operate. Essentially, in Ontario, the law says you're not allowed to operate a business under a name that was not registered under the Business Names Act. And from the other side, the corporation might or may operate under multiple business names. That's what I always suggest to my clients that want to start a new project or try a new business. So before you actually jump into and incorporate a new separate legal entity with the new administrative costs, just register a business name. It's faster. It's definitely cheaper. Try the business under that business name with the existing corporate structure, and once it proves itself, move to incorporate it separately, or if it didn't, just close it down. Registration is done always under provincial register, which means that if you have a federal corporation, you still will need to do it under the provincial register and the provincial laws in the province where your head office is located. And in most of the provinces, there are no limitation on the maximum amount and number of names that you can register. My understanding is that you can have as many as you want. Registering every new name does not negate or invalidate the previous registration. So 2, 3, 4 names, whatever you want to use under the same company, is allowed. And these are the questions for today's presentation. Thank you for being with me today. Again, Eugene from CBS, Canadian Business and Enterprise Services. I also invite you to visit my new project, businessdocs.ca. The link is in the description and also QR code here. There you can get templates to legal documents. If you know what you're doing and you can figure it out yourself, businessdocs.ca, I will be happy to assist you there as well. So thank you for being with me today. As I said, I will come back with additional frequently asked questions presentations. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe, ask your questions. You see I'm trying to answer them, and let me know if there are any additional topics that you would like me to discuss. Bye-bye.